Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this year has been a turning point for both Otome developers and players in the West. We've seen a significant increase in titles being released, as well as future releases being announced, and I can't help but be excited about it. There's been so many times where I've seen an Otome that I've desperately wanted to play, only to have my spirits crushed after finding out that it hasn't been localized, and that there's no future plans for localization either. At one point, this even gave me the push to try and learn Japanese, but after a few weeks, the only words that stuck in my head were dirty and green. Do you know how often the words kitanai, midori appear in a game? Never. However, over the last year or so, I've begun to notice the sizable amount of otomes that have been released overseas, and I can't help but be excited at the chance that these video games are finally gaining more popularity. At the beginning of the year, I did a little research to see what titles would be released, and that was when I had came across the game Bustafellows. To be honest, I had only heard about this title quickly in passing, and at the time, I hadn't given it much thought. It was only around May that I started to notice that there was quite a bit of buzz about this game. People were getting very excited, and in turn, it was piquing my interest. So, when I was given the opportunity to play this game and share my thoughts on it, I immediately jumped at the opportunity. So today, it is with my great pleasure that we will be discussing Bustafellows and how it has very quickly become one of my favorite otomes I've ever played. Now, before I made this video, I wanted to make sure that I had covered everything in this game. And when I mean everything, I mean everything, baby! Do you see that 100%? Did this mean that I had 1 or 2 sleepless nights playing this game? Maybe, but let's not worry about that. When I make a review video, I always ensure that I fully complete a game from start to finish, because I want to make sure that my review isn't based off of 1 or 2 routes, but of the game as an entirety. Another thing I take into account is that otome games are very subjective, and I know that while one character may appeal to me, it may not appeal to another, which is why I want to make sure I have a complete feel for the game and share my overall thoughts of the title, not just my personal preferences. As per usual, I will discuss the game's general plot and the characters first, and then we'll move on to my thoughts of this game. So, without me wasting any more time, let's just jump right into it. Bustafellows follows our main protagonist, Teota, a freelance journalist in the city of New Siege. Teota is determined to deliver truth and justice to her readers through her articles, and her main motivation for this, sadly, is the murder of her older brother. But Teota has a unique ability where she can momentarily go back in time. Sounds pretty cool, right? Like, imagine if you went to work and you realized that you just forgot your lunch at home. Now you might think, not to worry, I'll just go back in time to this morning and remember to pack my lunch, right? But it's not that easy for Teota. While she can go back to the past, it's only for a very short amount of time, and she can only go back in the body of others. So unless you can go back to the body of your roommate to bring your lunch to work, it's sayonara leftover stir fry and hello sad sandwich from the cafeteria. I like how out of all the examples I could have given you guys, I chose food. You can clearly see my priorities here. One day in the city, Teota comes across the infamous crooked lawyer, Limbo. But in her attempts to catch his attention, she discovers that he's actually been murdered. This escalates very quickly. Desperate to change his fate, she jumps back in time and is able to find a way to save him from his untimely death. And this encounter ultimately leads to her joining forces with Limbo and his 4 other partners as they try to maintain justice and order in their beloved city of New Siege. Now, let's learn a little bit about Limbo and his 4 partners. First off, Limbo, also known as the Crooked Lawyer, is an extremely skilled lawyer known for winning even the toughest of court battles. Many in the city know of him and his skills, and is sometimes regarded as a hero, but at the end of the day, he's just a kind-hearted man with a never-ending love for food. A man truly after my own heart. Next up is Shu, the Vigilante Hitman. Initially coming off as a very stern, gruff man, this bounty killer is known for being the best sniper in town, and his only known goal is to complete his former mentor's hit list. Now introducing this game's playboy, Helvetica. a highly regarded plastic surgeon in New Siege. He believes that people can start over with a new face, and helps many achieve this goal through his services. He's a master of disguise, and honestly, he looks just as good as a woman as he does a man. Next is the chief of the autopsy department, Mozu. He tends to think about most things from a medical perspective, so don't be surprised if he mentions anything about your bone structure. It's all in good nature. I mean, unless he says your bones look like garbage. In that case, sorry? Due to his indifferent tone of voice and unique personality, there's a few rumors going around, even one claiming that he dissects animals for fun. But that can't be true, can it? Last up is the self-proclaimed underground boss, Scarecrow. Being only 22, this genius hacker can crack almost any code and tap into any system. Due to his technological abilities, he's acquired many connections in a lot of places. But it makes one think, what did he actually do to acquire these connections? Each of these characters are highly proficient in their line of work, and with Toyota's investigative journalism, they make up one of the best teams to maintain order in the city they call home. Now, that's all I'm going to cover in terms of plot and characters, all of which will be uncovered in chapter 1 of the story. But don't let that deceive you, this is only a fraction of what this game has to hold. This Otome is very plot-driven, and I've come to realize over the years of playing these games that that is personally what I look for in an Otome. Don't get me wrong, I'm still a sucker for a good romantic fairy tale love story, but it's games where the story is so gripping that I'm on the edge of my seat, clutching my controller, dying to find out what will happen next. That really captures my attention. And this game did exactly that. The way this game's story plays out is very reminiscent of an anime. Each chapter of the game reminds me of an anime episode, and that while each chapter has its own plot, it adds to the overarching plot as a whole. Let me give you another example. Picture a puzzle. Now imagine that each chapter in a route is a piece of that puzzle, that once completed will create a photo. However, it doesn't just stop there. Once you finish playing all the romantic routes, you will finally unlock the true ending, and those 5 separate photos will come together to create a master puzzle. I loved reaching the end of this game and realizing, so that's where this person's route came into play, and this character was involved in this. It was extremely satisfying seeing the end result, and that's why, in terms of plot, I wholeheartedly give this game a 10 out of 10. This game also has a lot of neat bonus features as well. While most Otomes regularly include CGs, this game has an abundance of them. I was actually shocked with how many there actually were, and that's not including CGs that will be accessible once you finish the game. There's also a lot of memorabilia that you will unlock as you play through each route, which in turn will unlock extra scenes that you can read from the main menu. You can also listen to the soundtrack from the game, excuse me, I should say, you can listen to Scarecrow's mixtape, and you'll also be able to watch some special clips after completing different routes. Now, let me take a minute to talk about the potential suitors for this game. Normally, when I finish a game, there is a clear character that I'm like, yeah, they're my least favorite. But in this game, that wasn't the case. I loved playing every single route, and it was easy to get attached to each character in their respective route. Otome games can sometimes have a habit of trying to create this ideal suitor that is so wildly unrealistic, it almost makes them seem dehumanized in a way. But the characters in this game are so human, it's almost painful. They have real struggles, real worries. They've been through experiences many of us can relate to in some respect. And because of that, I found that I could sympathize with everyone. I also think it's really important to note the relationships between Toyota and each of the suitors. It's very clearly established early on that Toyota and her romantic interest are on equal footing. There was clear communication between them, and no character was domineering or possessive. There's no negative power dynamic, and every relationship was genuinely healthy. It almost sounds ridiculous to say out loud, but I was so happy to actually play a game where I was happy with whoever the main character ended up with. And sadly, I can't say that most of the time. Now, while I say there is no one character that is my least favorite, I was always bound to have a best boy in this game. When I first started playing, I thought for sure Limbo and Shu would be my favorite. But you know what? Mozu came rolling in on his cadaver table and he had me the moment he said he liked Teota's skeletal structure. I was not expecting to like him so much, but time and time again he hits you with the goofiest deadpan comments with that stoic face of his, and you can't help but be charmed by his quirkiness. Please tell me I'm not the only one that thinks this. As always, the gameplay experience is heightened with superb voice acting, and the soundtrack for this game is very atmospheric. Both visually and auditorily, this game gave me New York noir vibes, which goes to show how important music and art play in a visual novel. If these two factors alone can convey where the setting is without actually telling me where the setting takes place, then you couldn't have done your job any better, and for that, I thank you. A few little extra tidbits I wanted to mention are the choices made in this game. Just like your typical Otome, you will be given a multiple choice screen that can change the plot depending on your choice. But this game actually introduced timed multiple choices to me, and that had me sweating bullets! Sometimes it'll give you 30 seconds to make a selection, sometimes it'll only give you 10. But you better be prepared because I haven't panicked that hard playing an Otome before. Now I know I just touched a little bit on the voice actors earlier, but I'd like to note that this is the first Otome I've played where the main character is voiced, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was nice hearing how the sentences were originally intended to be interpreted. Sometimes, by reading alone, a lot of nuances may be missed. For instance, you might read a text that says, "I'm so mad at you," but in your head, you might read it as, "I am so mad at you." Or you could read it as, "I'm so mad at you," in a sarcastic way. So sometimes by having a voice actor, that really helps you understand the tone and how this conversation is actually playing out. I'm not saying that not having a voiced main character is bad, but it was a nice addition to have that may have helped aid people with reading comprehension, and I thought it was a point worth mentioning. Now, normally when I do these videos for you guys, I end it by rating the game out of 10. But today, I am happy to introduce Natalie's new and improved rating system. What is this new system? Well, it's actually quite simple. Once I finish a game, I ask myself these 3 questions. Most importantly, did I enjoy this game? And my answer is yes. I had such a fun time unraveling the mysteries in this game, and there is a lot to unpack. I never found myself bored, and every time I finished one route, I thought, man, I can't wait to play the next. My second question is, would I recommend this game to others? Listen, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. If a game is awful and I didn't have fun playing it, there's no way I would recommend it to you guys. I don't want to waste your time, and you probably clicked on this video to help you decide whether to play it or not. So with that in mind, I wholeheartedly say yes, I would recommend this game to you guys. In fact, I enjoyed this game so much, it would be one of my first recommendations to anyone looking into getting into Otomes. And my final question is, will I play this game again? And the answer for that one is yes. I know for a fact I will play this game again because I'm confident that no matter what, this game will always scratch that mystery romance genre itch that I crave. It delivered everything that I look for in a visual novel, and I can see myself going back to this game time and time again. So with all that said, using Natalie's new and improved rating system, if I answered yes to all 3 questions, then I truly believe this to be a wonderful game. And Bustafellows passed that test with flying colors. So with all that said and done, I hope you guys found this video informative, and I hope I was able to convince you to give this game a go, because I genuinely have nothing but good things to say about this game. I know some of you might have questions that weren't answered in this video, so if you do have any, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you guys as soon as I can. If you have already played this game, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Who was your favorite character? Did anyone else love Mozu like I did? Please let me know. I'm dying to talk to people about this game. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like, and if you would like to stick around and see more from me, then please subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, you're staying safe, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye!
いい骨だなと思って。その顔の骨格、コーカソイド系だけど眼下の骨の形が滑らかなんだろうね。いい形のくぼみだと思う。
なんか素直にありがとうって言いづらいんですけど。